and we started working on finding what the problems were with the Butterfly River, and I found a lot of problems. And we were able to get those problems fixed, and without any enforcement action.
Well, tell me something a little bit about the Pontchartrain Conservancy. Who are y'all? Who is the Pontchartrain Conservancy, and what do you do?
Formerly,
Yeah, we were formerly the Lake Pontchartrain Basin Foundation, Save Our Lake, and we just renamed ourselves Pontchartrain Conservancy. What, about 8 years ago, something like that? About 8 years ago. So what we do is we work on getting the area, rivers and things cleaned up and cleared up. Plus, we also have a coastal department. We do a lot of coastal. When it comes to planting trees, we're the people to see it. I think we plant, what, like 40,000 trees or something like that. It's a lot.
Yeah.
But we have a lot of science behind the way we plant and everything. I don't have anything to do with that program, but Michael Hopkins heads that program up. He actually gave a presentation here last meeting.
Last time.
yeah, and he's going to be at the Ascension meeting next month.
That's right. You're going to get to see his presentation next month in Ascension. So he'll be able to tell you all about the tree planting and how all that works. Because you can, a lot of people want to donate trees, and these volunteer groups just go out there and they just start sticking trees everywhere. Well, they don't grow, because they're not done the right way. Well, through the 30 years that we've been in the tree planting business, we know how to do it right now. So and we can help guide those people that want to help plant trees and things like that to make the planting rate very successful. Because we started out planting trees and we were losing everything, and we eventually learned how to protect the trees from nutrient and things like that, and we get a really high success rate now. But that's what we've been doing for about 30 years now. I think we have removed the largest water body ever removed off the impaired water body list, which is a 630 square mile lake called Lake Pontchartrain. I think that's the largest water body that's ever been removed from the impaired water body list. And we have a similar organization in Chesapeake Bay that we kind of mimic their process in the beginning, but they haven't been very successful. But we were very successful. We went out and knocked on doors and did what we had to do to get the lake cleaned up. I know even way back, Carlton Dufershow was the executive director here. He was up here on the North Shore visiting with dairy farms himself, convincing them to let us help them put in retention ponds for the dairy farms, which it was a big success. But then we also found that all the other area rivers were having troubles up here also. So in 2000, that's when I started working here, and we took on our first impaired water body, which is the Butterfly River, to see what we could do. They told us that we were wasting our time, that nobody could fix it, that it was a useless case. And then once we got the numbers turned around and down to acceptable levels again, everybody came on board. It's like, well, we knew you could do it. I mean, you just,
That's
have to get out there and get out there.
That's with everything. Nobody wants to do anything with trash till it's like doing something, and then it's like
So
everybody's on board.
you only taking credit?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
They part of it from the beginning.
Yeah, they knew how to do it from the get-go. That's what
Well,
they
then why
said.
didn't they do it? That's what I'm.
Well, they did. But anyway, we forged that good relationship with DEQ and the health department and all the parishes, and We got all that worked out, and it became a very good process. We started knocking down water bodies off the impaired water body list. Chifunka River, Mile Branch, Tangipahoa River. I was at Southeastern one day and dropping off some samples because they used to run our samples for us. And they said, look, while you're here, we want you to look at this map, this graph rather, and tell us if you can see what's happening here. And then like right around 2005, the vehicles started dropping off. They said, can you tell us what's going on? And I mean, it went down. I said, yeah, that's the year I started working on Tangipahoa River, 2005. We started in Kentwood, actually above Kentwood, state line. We worked our way all the way down Tangipahoa River to Lee's Landing, working with the different facilities that discharge, all the dischargers. 80% of them weren't permitted.
But now don't all of them now have to be permitted? I mean, I know my office is out of the of that where they get permits or whatever, and the parish has really got a kind of stickler on all that stuff.
Well, they need to be because
You say parish or the DHH purchase in the parish?
No. This is they have to get septic tank permits and everything through the parish now. Yeah, and they send our people out to check them and everything. I mean, it's used to you could drive through and say, oh yeah, it works. Not anymore. We got to go out and check it.
When you say permitted, that would mean?
well, there's an installation permit, which everybody thinks once they got an installation permit, they're done.
That's
Is that
right.
through the parish too, or
That's
DHH?
through LDH.
Because the design permit is strictly DHH.
Right.
But what
That's
you're
what I'm
talking about is basically an installation?
I don't know, but we have to go out and check them.
Right. So here's Mom and Pop's grocery store. They're going to open up Mom and Pop's grocery store outside of town here. They have to have a wastewater treatment plant. So they go to the health department and they say, this is how many people we're going to have there. The health department says, okay, you need a plant this size, 20,000 gallon per day sewer treatment plant or whatever. Then they take and they give them an installation permit for that plant. And then they take that and give it to an installer. The installer says, okay, I can install that plant for this much money, blah, blah, blah. But they have an installation permit, but they don't have a DEQ discharge permit. So they got an installation permit, they followed the right procedures there, and then we got the other issue with the TMDLs now. At first, the health department wasn't recognizing that streams had TMDLs put on them. So they would say, where are you going to discharge to? They'd say, oh, we're going to discharge to Blind Creek. Okay, well, Blind Creek has an impairment on it. So your permit limits are going to be a lot lower than what they would have normally been. Like if you went to, say, Tangipahoa River. So they would go take their installation permit and go get a 20,000 gallon per day sewer treatment plant that would meet a 45 BOD, 45 TSS. But the discharge limits on the receiving stream was 1015 or 525. So they just wasted their money. And when that started happening, they said, we got to fix this problem. And all it takes is that don't issue any installation permits without a notice of intent back from DEQ. That would end the whole problem. Because if you only have an installation permit, you may be putting in the wrong sewer treatment plant. Chances are you are. So make sure that anyone who applies, and this is commercial, I'm talking about commercial stuff here. This is not home sewer systems.
I wanted to add something else to that.
Yeah.
You were talking about timelines. In the 80s and stuff when it started coming down, right? Formerly DEQ was part of DNR, and I think we were separated out of there in 1986 or so. That was part of it when Edwards was administration. And then, but at the time, EPA was writing all the permits. And we didn't become delegated till 1996. That's when we started having LPDES permits instead of
Right.
MPDES permits. National Pollution Discharge Elimination System. And then Louisiana was, LPDES, Louisiana Permit Discharge Elimination System.
Right, and if you had bad DMRs, discharge monitoring reports, they wouldn't allow you to just be turned over to the state of Louisiana under their permit. The federal government held you under their permit, which is more stringent than the LDEQ permit. But you could work your way out from under that, which a lot of systems did, and then they became solely permitted now by LDEQ.
And we didn't start having really thorough monitoring and assessment until 1998 or something.
Right. Yeah. You had to create a whole new department, train people and everything. So yeah, we have removed, I want to say it's 14 water bodies on the impaired water body list, or kept them from being put on the impaired water body list. Lake Pontchartrain is probably the largest one that any nonprofit organization has ever worked on and got removed from the impaired water body list. We didn't do it by ourselves. DEQ health department, different ones.
That's specific to parameter, right?
Yes. Yeah.
So maybe on there for another parameter.
But Ronnie, do y'all still go out and check those to make sure they still up to par, or once you get it straight, it's done?
Hit the next.
Oh,
So
okay.
post monitoring?
See, we have a Lake and Coast app right here. You can download that Lake and Coast app, and it'll show you all of our sample spots around the lake. What is it, weekly? Yeah, weekly.
Okay.
So we do samples around the lake, all the way around the lake, weekly. And you can download that app, and it'll give you all of those locations and what the readings were.
So when you need me to forward the slide, just tip your cap or do the thing with it.
Okay. So yeah, we do the weekly monitoring, and we do the home sewer inspections. We've done home sewer inspections in Bayou Lacombe, Bayou Liberty, Pontchartrain Creek, Ponchatoula Creek, Yellowwater Creek, and the Tallbenny River.
Wait, is that say Ponchatoula or Poncha? I really
That's
don't.
Ponchatoula.
Is that a real place?
Yes.
It's Funky River.
The where?
Yes.
Close to the Funky River.
I've never been
Where
there.
at there? Where?
Down near the bottom, near the lakes.
All right.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's a real deal. But we've done home sewer inspections on all of those, plus the ones I should have had them listed on there, but I don't, which is Ponchatoula Creek, Yellowwater Creek, the Tallbenny River, and even Tangipahoa River.
So what's your funding source?
What's that?
Your funding source?
Different funding sources. We've had some federal grants. Didn't we have some DEQ grants and some DEQ grants? Yeah. But every one of those water bodies that we work in, doing the home sewer systems, we can show in-stream improvement in the water quality on that stream, that's what everything's about. If you can't show in-stream water quality improvement, you're wasting money, And if you don't have a good, solid, well-trained home sewer inspection program, you're not going to show good in-stream improvement, because there was a particular place that I went to do home sewer inspections. I'm not going to say where it was at. And we had a big federal grant to work there. And I said, let me see your last 100 inspections. So they brought me out the last 100 inspections, and I went through them. 98% pass rate. 2 failures out of 100.
Kind of like the one that's doing it today?
So they weren't really inspecting. They didn't know how to inspect the system. They've been doing it for many, many years, But they thought you just go out there and look, oh, look, there's an aerator, they're good to go, you know? And at best, they would say, well, I hear it running, you know, and that was it.
So then what did y'all do, start going back and checking them?
Yeah, we
With
went
the
back
grant?
through the, yeah, well, we just inspected them like it should have been inspected. It's not fair to the homeowner to go there and inspect their system and then tell them, hey, yeah, everything's working fine, you're okay, when it's not.
Right,
It's gonna cost them money.
in the long run.
That's right. It's gonna cost them money if you don't give them a good, high-quality inspection. And that's one of the things that we're working with St. Tammany Parish right now. That the people want to be upset that they're getting home sewer inspections, but it's gonna save you money. Because if you don't have if you don't know your sewer treatment plant's not working right, the dollar amount is clicking against you every day. The longer it's down, chances are you're going to have to have a pump out. You know, if it's down for 4 or 5 months, something like that, you're probably going to have to have a pump out just to get it started back again, which is $600.
My husband believes in a pump out about every 3 years.
That's good. That's about right.
Like he calls and he'll say, okay, call him and tell him to come pump it out. And I'm like, we're not having problems. I don't want to have problems.
That's right.
Ronny,
And it
you
is $600.
I've been here Ronny 6 for years. You go to an area and they're having like a 50% failure rate, you're not doing your job.
If you don't have a 50% failure rate, every one of these water bodies that we worked on, there's been a 50% failure rate on every one of them. So any given day, if you take any neighborhood that has home sewer systems in it, 50% of them are failing.
So you're basing off of what's coming out the tail line that doesn't
No.
have a.
Just whether it's operating or not, you know, because we actually make sure that the aerator is pumping air into the tank. We pull the cap off and we look to see whether it's
So
actually
you
working.
basically look more at the functionality of the actual system,
Yeah,
not, okay, right.
we're not actually taking water samples.
Well, yeah, because like a lot of people that live in houses with the old sediment tank, what you call the old.
Septic tank.
And that does actually nothing unless
Well, there's nothing
unless
there.
they're pumping them out.
Right, the
Yeah.
life of a septic tank is to have it pumped out regularly. But once you don't pump it out, you've lost it. Because your drain field is plugged now.
And it'll start backing up in your house.
Yep, we'll get to that in just a minute. But, and we'll also look more at that 50% failure rate. Like I was saying, all those water bodies that we've done the home sewer inspection programs in, we can show in-stream improvement on the receiving water supply. Same thing with commercial. Every place that we've done a commercial sweep, where we just swept just the commercial systems, we can show huge in-stream improvement. And like I said, when we started here in Tangipahoa Parish, 81% of the commercial sewer treatment plants were not permitted. But I think now we've got that gap closed because the permitting department knows to tell the commercial people, here's your installation permit, or we're gonna give you this installation permit as soon as you get your notice of intent to discharge back from DEQ. So they have to go and tell DEQ, I'm gonna discharge into Blind Creek. And the DEQ says, okay, here's your permit limits for Blind Creek. It's 1515 or 1523. Then that changes the installation permit because you got to have a much better plan. It's not, you can't just go put in a 45 plan now. But that saves people money when you tell them up front, don't make the mistake of putting in a 45 plan when you're going to need a 1015.
So when you're looking at the water quality, what are you looking at? In-stream.
We're looking at all the basics, like fecal coliform, pH, DO, turbidity, just basic stuff. But the fecal coliform is a sewer indicator, you know. And that's why we kind of look for that. That generally tells you that there's sewer coming into it. Now that we're working with LSU, we can even tell whether it's animals and pretty much be able to tell you what type of animal that it is. If you get a high number for fecal coliform. The dairy farmers around here, yeah, it was a problem, but we had big problems with some municipal systems also, which I was able to work with them. We actually got a grant to install flow proportional disinfection units on all the municipalities that discharged into the Tangipahoa River. So that was one of the reasons that we had that sharp decline that they saw in 2005. Like Kentwood, Tangipahoa,
Oh, that's it.
Amy, City Amy right here. We put in
All public computers.
a very good,
For the evening at
it's called flow
7:45
proportional
p.m.
disinfection. What that means is that as the flow goes up and down, the chlorine goes up and down with it. Because all they had was just a single chlorinator that you set at one point, and it just stayed there. So if it came a rain event and went up above that, it wasn't killing any bacteria. Or if it went too low, the chlorine was too strong. So flow proportional keeps the chlorine adjusted even with the flow, so that you have the right amount of chlorine no matter what the flow is. And we had those systems installed down all the way down to Tickball. So they all got new disinfection units. And then we also petitioned the state during that time and said that all systems that were over 100,000 gallons per day should, from this point on, should be flow proportional, have the flow proportional disinfection. And DEQ looked at that and said, that's a good idea, we're going to do that. And they did. So that's where the 100,000 gallon per day or larger flow proportional disinfection rule came from, was what we discovered right here in Tangipahoa Parish and got it fixed. Well, let's see, next slide. I don't know why that says, oh, this is one of my St. Tammany Parish slides. But actually I changed that and it didn't come out. Changed that to, okay. Anyway, I think St. Tammany Parish has like 35 or 40,000. It's up in the air as to how many home sewer systems they have there. I think we have 25 or 30,000 here in Tangipahoa Parish. I think we're number 2, or tied for number 2 in the state, I think, for the most. We're in the top 5 anyway for having the most home sewer systems. Ascension's probably got a good hit too. But if you consider, like we were saying earlier, that 50% of them are failed. You know, we've done over 10,000 inspections. The failure rate is 50%. If you do them right, it's 50%. You know, it's 51% here, 49 over here, 51, 49. It's right there on every water body that we've ever went through. We even went back over one of the subdivisions that we had done within 1 year. Within 1 year, we were right back at a 50% failure rate in 1 year.
So after inspection, after you inspect it, how can we keep that from going back to 50%?
That's something else that that's one of the things I'm working
It's
on.
putting more responsibility on the homeowner.
Yeah, education is one thing, you know, and that's one of the main things that we do when we do home sewer inspections is that we do on-site education. you know, we remind them to check your ground fault plug-ins after power surges and power outages and things like that. Or at least once a week, just go out and check your area. You know, make sure it's running, make sure it's not tripped out. And if you listen into that 6-inch cap in your yard, you can hear that water boiling inside there, like a pot on a stove. And if it ain't boiling, something's wrong. I couldn't tell you how many systems I went to, and they're like, oh, my area is working fine. And it is, that their area is working great. But it ain't putting not 1 ounce of air into the water, because when they had it cleaned out last, the guy took his hose and he washing around and inside of that tank like that, and he broke off the diffuser. And the air is just blowing right into the top of the tank up there. You learn what to listen for after a while, and we can listen inside of those. We got the little ear things that you put in your ears with a rod, and you can listen. And we can hear that air just blowing right in the top of the tank and not doing anything. And that's hard to convince people that, yeah, your area is working and the air is making it to the tank, but it's just blowing right into the top of the tank.
So what's a homeowner's options? As far as if they go in and they break it off, what's the homeowner's options? Is it?
They're not going to take responsibility for it.
It's your responsibility.
Yeah, they don't care.
They just got their money and gone.
Yeah, that's right. The pumper is going to clean it out, and they're going to go.
And hopefully they won't blow it back in when they blow it.
Right. Be careful. Once they clean your tank out, watch them.
Yeah.
Don't let them put it back in there, because they will.
Charging for the volume, they moved out, then they blow the line out, and then they pump it right back into the tank.
Yeah.
And leave.
So when they're done, if you need to be at home, and you tell them when you're finished, come and get me.
So you can visually inspect that tank.
I want to see the bottom of my tank when you're finished.
That's good to
Because
know.
they'll leave the,
And when it's
they'll
really
blow all
bad,
their water right off the
listen,
top.
when it's really bad, it's doing home sales. Because a lot of people aren't paying attention. It's a mandate by a realtor that you pump these, because these tanks have never been pumped before. So then all of a sudden they hire somebody to come, and nobody's really watching. Nobody's even around. The realtor hires them. All right, the landowner, the homeowner's nowhere around. They'll come in and nobody turns around and re-inspect it. The guy leaves his piece of paper and they go through with the set. And nobody actually goes behind him.
He got his $500,
Yeah.
and he's gone. So,
So it sounds like it's really, what the
Sounds like a
what
wild,
the
wild
homeowner
west,
do.
man.
Homeowner, be educated and be there when they're doing it, and make sure they don't
Right.
break that thing off, number one, and have some knowledge and looking at that, and watching when they go to close it up, make sure, doesn't get blown back in there, and they do it right.
You know, the problem is most homeowners only care about that little silver lever working.
Yeah,
right, as long as it's flushing, it must be working, right? My toilet's never backed up.
Yeah.
It's got to be working. So we talked about the 50% failure rate. So with a 50% failure rate, you stop and think about how many sewer systems there are in Louisiana, home sewer systems. Half of them are failed. So that's I forgot how many, we figured it up, it was like 2 billion gallons per day or something like that of untreated sewer hitting entire water bodies every day. It's a lot.
I have a question related to this other question you just asked. What the homeowner can do if it's broken? And you said nothing because they're gone, but I mean, you gotta fix it.
Oh,
So how do you
yeah.
fix it?
Yeah, you have to call an installer back out there to pull the lid off and put a new diffuser in there.
Yeah, but the
And how
question
much
is
does that
how to
cost?
catch it.
Right. Nobody catches it. And, you know, I went to a house once, and the lady said, you know, she wanted to know who I was, and I told her and all that. And she said, oh, my system's gotta be working fine. She said, I just spent $2,400 on it. I'm like, what? She said, yeah, it keeps backing up, and they told me that it was my discharge line. And look, your discharge line is perfect, you know, there's nothing wrong with that. I said, it's your aerator that's broke. She said, oh no, my aerator is working fine. I said, no, it's not. She said, oh, no, all of them came here, checked my aerator, and told me it was working fine. So I had to go over there. I made a pressure gauge with a little rubber tip on it that you can stick in the pump, and it'll show you what the PSI is. And I had to stick it in there and show her, said, look, you got 0. Your pump is running, it sounds perfect, but your diaphragms are bad, and it's not pumping any air. And she said, you telling me that
That's sad.
all I had to do
That's
was
the world
just
we live
replace
in
my
today.
aerator, and that these people came here and ripped me off for
Yeah.
pumping it
Yes.
out and telling me that my lines were stopped up and they had to flush them out.
Oh, yes.
You know, I said, well, I'm sorry, but, you know,
For a person that's maintaining their system, how much does it cost to pump it out?
about $500.
It was
You can
600
probably
the
find-
last time.
You can find maybe someone for $450, and you're gonna find some that are $600. But be sure that whoever you get to pump that system out is licensed by DEQ. Not the health department. They used to be the health department. Now they have to be licensed through DEQ.
And look at my research on it, the only time you can track the waste is if it makes it to the disposal facility.
Which
You know,
is
they're not
what-
mandated to keep a manifest and submit to DEQ when they do their annual reports. You know, Lutcher is where most of the stuff comes from, our neck of the woods, and that's how you track who breaks.
Where's ours go, Ronnie?
What?
Like when they pump a septic tank out, where does it go?
Oh, we have a facility at the landfill.
And the whole land.
Oh, really?
Yeah. If you have a Tangipahoa Parish address,
Have you checked
you
that?
can,
Have you checked that?
I've been out there quite a few times, but, I mean, not recently. I'm just assuming it's still there, it still works. Because
It's
there's,
a big pond.
it's not a big pond, but it is a pond.
Yeah.
I don't know how effective it is, but we do, if you have a Tangipahoa Parish address, the hauler can bring it over there and discharge it for free. Because it belongs to us, we the people of Tangipahoa Parish.
Right, I mean, you can take your
But you
trash there
can't-
for free. If you
Right.
live outside the city limits. You live in the city limits, you're not taking your trash there free.
Right, because you have a city,
Right.
but you can't pump, another parish can't come here and discharge it.
Right.
And they were doing that. And we stopped it. We're like, no, that belongs to Tangipahoa Parish,
Yeah.
Tangipahoa Parish citizens only.
So
Because you're the ones paying.
So old poop. So tell me this, who operates that at the landfill?
The people at the landfill, what's his name?
She
Nice
doesn't
guy.
seem impressed.
Potential addition to the landfill field trip?
It's right there on the Toppany River. You know how the Toppany River flows through the landfill? It's right on the bank of the
Good sampling point.
yeah. But that's how that works. We do have a sludge handling facility there. And I hope it's working good. It should be. If not, they can call me. We'll help them work on it, do whatever we gotta
Well, I'm not saying a word, I want to know where it goes, that's all I want to know.
do. Next slide. So what we have here, just this is a diagram. Like if you live in a city, you know, you got your manholes right here. You got your main sewer line. The sewer line's coming from the house here. Now, what do you see here? Look, just where the line's coming off of this gutter, coming down here, and tying in. Okay, that's going in the stormwater sewer. All right,
Yeah,
that's okay.
yeah, that's.
But a lot of people will
Rainwater.
tie these into the sewer line right here and cause, it's called I&I.
What's it called?
I&I. I&I.
I and I.
Infiltration and inflow. That is the number one cause nationwide for sewer systems to fail on their permits. It's I&I, infiltration, inflow. That's leaks out here in this collection system. You know, go to the next slide, we'll see this. All right, go back. Go back. Yeah, see, like you have a crack right here, a crack that could be getting into the, like a leaky connection. You know, and these pipes break and shift over time. But I&I is the number one cause nationwide for sewer systems to not be able to make their permit limits. I went to a place not too far from here once, and they said, hey, we're getting a grant. We're getting a brand new sewer treatment plant. I said, hey, that's great. So I go out there, and they said, we're getting a 750,000 gallon per day brand new sewer treatment plant. So how big is the one you got? 750. I said, well, what kind of flow do you have here? I said, oh man, we're getting rain, we go over 2 million gallons a day. I'm like, wait a minute. You fixing to spend $2 million of taxpayer money to build the same kind of plant that you got now and not address your I&I issues. And they said, we never thought about that. I said, no, you need to spend your money, spend your $2 million, fix your I&I problems, you know, so you don't have 2.5 million gallon per day flow coming into this sewer treatment plant. And guess what? They did. They spent the whole $2.2 million on fixing the I&I issues, and it resolved their problems.
Didn't the Village of Tangipahoa just get a new sewer system? I mean, has it been a while, but didn't they get a grant for that up there?
Their floating cover blew out of the pond during Ida.
Okay.
So maybe that's what it was. Maybe they got a grant to replace all that.
Okay.
But they have a floating.
Needed it. I mean, okay.
I wish they would call me, you know.
Oh, I don't know. I'm just saying, but I just remember reading somewhere that they got some grant money for a new sewer system or something like that.
Probably to replace their floating cover
Oh, well, good.
from Ida.
Good.
Because I went up there and it was all laying in the woods and everywhere else.
In a city situation, this would be like a city situation,
Right.
correct? So that stormwater drain, I mean, by each house, they would be required, the city, to provide a connection to the stormwater drain for you if you live in the city? How would you reach it if you're going to redo your plumbing, say, which is something I'm working on right now? How do you get to the stormwater drain?
Well, the only way you're supposed to get to them is through, at least here in Louisiana, is through these catch basins right here.
So,
Install a catch basin.
what if you don't have a catch basin?
Then you don't have a drain.
Yeah, you don't have a drain.
And is that who's
You could probably answer that better than me.
who's
Yeah, 'cause they want visual
required to
too.
put the drain there?
You talking about like at a new installation, or you talking about?
Well,
For an
I'm
upgrade.
working with an older home right now that never had a catch basin there ever, as far as I knew. There was always some stormwater problems there, and now I'm trying to solve those problems because also I have stormwater coming from a neighbor who built up a house with high neighbors. And I hire a plumber to come in there, and he said, well, you know, he says you need to get to this, there's a huge catch basin there, but it's not available to us. Who's responsible for making a storm water?
So it's in the municipality of a city, right?
Yes, I'm talking about a city, local city here. I won't mention any names.
Yeah, but I don't see what a city won't allow you, but you got to plumb to it.
Yeah.
Yeah, but if I don't
But
know,
you
how do
gotta
I
plug
get
to
to
start
it?
in.
How do we get to it? I mean, aren't they supposed to like provide
Well, when you,
access?
all right, are you stormwater all contained around like this through a gutter system? What you trying to channel to? Stormwater is actually surface water?
Off the ground.
If it's surface water, then-
and the water from the person, Because it used to be like, okay, here's where I can show you pictures. Okay, there was a natural flow, and this house always had kind of like, you know, sumpy kind of, you know, things going on in the lawn. But it always would flow off. It would just flow off into the street. There was no catch basin.
And then it would drain off the street.
And then it would drain down the street. Okay, now the lot next to this house that I'm talking about was very low, and they used to have things like cattails growing and all that kind of stuff you see in wetlands, which was beautiful. Well, somebody came to us and said, we want to buy your house. I said, no, I'm sorry, I don't want to sell my house, right? Okay, so they bought the lot next door and they built it up real high, and now I'm getting all their stormwater sewage on my lot,
But did
and there's no
they
catch
change
basin.
the flow of the water though?
Yes, they did. They changed the flow.
Yeah, and that's a Chapter 7 issue with the state, and that's a civil issue between property owners. But from a municipality standpoint, there's no way they can come in and help you slope and drain your property.
I don't want
To go
to,
to
I don't
a-
want to do that. I'm doing that.
She
I
wants
just
to just tie in.
I want to get into the.
Well, she's gotta communicate with the municipality, what they
Yeah,
tell
just
us.
call the city.
Call the city.
Get someone from the city to come out there and ask them, hey, can I tie a drain pipe into this, stormwater system? And they.
And then you gotta plumb to it.
Yeah.
Right.
You
well,
have to
I had
pay to
a
have it
plumber out
plumbed
there to
in.
do it.
Yeah.
And he started saying, oh, you got to do this, you got to do that. I said, well, you know, and he said he applied for a permit, and then, you know, the hurricane hit, and now I've got a huge lake in my yard, and he disappeared. No, this last storm.
No.
I
So,
don't know.
yeah, that
But
would be a
anyway, I
city-
just want to try to figure out how do I get to that storm drain you're talking about.
She wants to.
You should-
Because if you got an open grate already, you can go from your property with a pipe into it, but you gotta get permission to connect to it.
Right.
And that's where you gotta talk to the city, but as long as you got a plumber that should be licensed, they should have no problem with you connecting to the drain, as long as you can provide that it's strictly stormwater.
And then it's done correctly.
That's
It
it.
has to be done correctly. So, just like a sewer, you know, you hire a plumber to tie into the city's, sewer collection system. And it has to be done correctly. So the city has to come out and look at it and say, that's good.
Yeah, basically it's the same thing as sewer, except you
Yeah.
just do a stormwater, but you connect it to the city. And I don't know is there a fee structure with that?
They're.
Because that's usually tied to because they tie their,
I mean, there's no code, there's no thing like in New Orleans, you know, like you have,
The grates.
yeah, there's nothing like that there. Nothing.
so you don't have a big grate, so
No,
it's,
nothing's there, nothing's there.
And you may not have a pipe underneath the road.
Well,
Call the
so
city.
there's no catch basin already.
Call the city and ask if they
Yeah,
have.
they-
a question
you know,
about
tell
it.
if
them-
they
put
had
a
a catch
CD4.
basin, I probably wouldn't be flooding.
Yeah, I would. Yeah,
Call the
you,
city.
Hmm.
Tell the guys from the city to come out and take a look and then help you with your problem.
tell them to see if they'll put a
If it's-
CD4 in there for you.
A what?
Catch basin 4, it's about the smallest catch basin you
Gas
can get.
station
If
4.
it's real close by here, his name's Jonathan.
Jonathan,
If it's real close by.
if it's real
I'm not
close
saying
by,
what
like
city
maybe
that
about
is.
13 miles that way.
No.
Okay,
No,
I'm talking about him.
He's talking about they me.
Okay.
I'm talking about him. Who do I see?
That's you.
Who do I see?
Guy Palermo.
Who?
Guy
Guy.
Palermo.
P-A.
You want me on?
P-A-L-A-M-O.
Palermo.
Palermo.
Yeah.
I don't know nothing about that water. I know sewer.
I'm trying to get all of these persons on board.
I'm scared to tell him that.
Can I tell him that?
I don't
All right,
care.
good. All right, good.
All
It
right.
might give me some, might
He
give
may
me
be
some
retired,
leverage.
'cause he was talking about
I
retirement.
think, I wanna tell you, I think Guy did retire.
Oh, gosh.
All right.
But they gonna give you the next person, and you just need
Yeah.
to ask who's in, if he says they retired, just say, okay, well, could you tell me who took his place?
Yeah.
And they got
All
how
right,
they
does the
go.
city have their own MS4?
Yes.
So I asked for the
Yeah, city.
MS4 coordinator for the city of
There
Hammond.
you go.
MS4
MS4 coordinator.
coordinator.
That's it.
Oh, thank you.
So we better hurry up and get through through this.
All right, sorry.
Okay, so this is called a true septic tank here. You know, we want to call all of them septic systems, but they're really
I
not.
do that for the same.
Septic systems, they're AT.
Wow.
What we use now is called ATU, aerated treatment unit. This is a true. What's that?
I'm calling Modad anymore.
Modad is a brand name. People, it just caught on. People thought, well, that's a Modad. Well, that's actually a brand name. Modad built that type of ATU. So this is a typical septic tank right here, where you have the box in the ground right here, and then you settle out everything in here that can settle out. Then it comes into here and goes out into a leach field. You have this big leach field out here in your yard. The grass is always greener in the septic tank. So what happens is that the first time you don't do a pump out regular, you pass solids all the way through here. The solids get out here and plug up all of this leach field. And then you have a backup in your house. And you call the plumber. The plumber comes out, he looks around, and he goes, I can fix that for you. What does he do? He comes over here and he puts you in a discharge pipe right here to the ditch, which is illegal. But he just fixed your problem. So, and I find that on over half of them. Very few systems are left, septic systems are left that actually still work. You'll find it some in churches sometimes because they only get used once a week, you know, and they still work properly. But once you let a septic tank overflow with solids without pumping it out, you plug this field up, you're finished. It's never going to work right again. And that's when the plumber comes and puts the discharge pipe over here to the ditch, which is illegal. But he doesn't know that because he's a plumber. Anyway, next one. So what we use is aerated treatment units here in Louisiana. That's where the term ATU comes from. And this is like a complete big elaborate system here, but pretty much this is all we use right here.
If you be patient, the library will close in 30 minutes. All public computers will shut down tonight in 15 minutes.
We're going to make
All fax, copy, and cash transactions will end in 15 minutes. Thank you.
So this is basically what an aerated treatment unit looks like right here. Just this center section right here. You have a main aeration chamber right here. And this is called the clarifier over here. So the water that comes in here has to come underneath this wall, then up to get out this discharge pipe here to flow out to the ditch. So when the bacteria get over here, they settle back down. And when they settle back down in here, they slide back down that wall and they get caught back in the aeration chamber over here. So this is where the air comes in, and then this tank is like going around and around and around, being aerated. We may have a better picture of that coming up. Let's see. We've done thousands of home sewer systems, and like I said earlier, our data shows in-stream improvement in every water body that we've done home sewer inspections and commercial systems. Now you wouldn't really want to do a double whammy, do the home sewer systems and the commercial systems at the same time on a water body, which we've done that, and you can show some really big in-stream improvements. I can go to the next one. So why is it important? You can actually stop development if the receiving streams become too impaired. Nobody else can discharge into them. It's like, I think it was the Jugan Road project. They were gonna discharge into Gray's Creek. Well, they didn't do a notice of intent to DEQ. They went and built a big, nice sewer treatment plant, and just applied for their discharge permit, and they said, where are you gonna discharge at? Right over there in Gray's Creek. Nope, it's full. They had to spend $1 million to put a force main over to Amy River, where they still had capacity left, if I remember that story correctly. So it's very important to make sure DEQ knows that you exist and that you intend to discharge into a particular water body. So these dirty discharges like this, they're terrible for our property values. If you have a impaired water body that you're next to, or even within the vicinity of your house, it's going to decrease your property value. If you don't believe me, let's take Chifuncta River. Some of those pieces of property over there can cost $1 million that are buttoned up to that river right there. If that river becomes impaired, what happens? You know? Property values are going to plummet.
They can have that water, and we want a flood.
What's that?
We want a flood over there.
Yeah.
I mean, really.
I think if you hit the play button there, or you maybe just advance it, I think it'll play automatically. Yeah. This is a discharge pipe coming from the home sewer system, and you can see what's taking place here. This is massive amounts of mosquitoes and other bad stuff there.
What's that white stuff?
That's maggots, okay?
Well,
Are you serious?
Are you really serious?
Some people might want to turn to good.
There's a certain worm too. The worm.
Okay, that's really sad. That really makes me sad.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's from a home sewer system that's failed. This is one where the aerator's not working properly.
And that's after
Yeah. Well, and now you got a twofold issue here. Not only do you have high nutrients and bacteria coming out of here, you've got this massive breeding ground for mosquitoes right here. And we know that the mosquito that carries West Nile, that's the environment that they love to lay their eggs in right there. They love the anaerobic, high nutrient discharge from a home sewer system, the failed home sewer system. What we did in St. Tammany Parish, working with St. Tammany Parish Mosquito Abatement, Dr. Kevin Calumet, Kevin took 3 buckets, clean water, 50% dirty water, and 100% dirty water, and let them sit for a week. Guess which one had all the mosquito larvae in it? The one on the end, the worst one, had most of the mosquito larvae in it, because they're attracted to that, and there's one reason why. Go to the next slide. Did you know that mosquitoes are the deadliest creatures in the world? Deadliest creatures. They kill more people than any other creature in the world. The mosquito is the deadliest creature in the world. This little guy right here, that's a ditch minnow. Watch what he does when he encounters mosquito larvae. That's me.
Playing music.
West Nile, Zika, typhoid, done.
Where do I get that fish?
Already there.
You got him in your ditch.
Got it in.
Just make sure your area is working and he lives.
What kind of fish is that?
It's just a ditch minnow, mosquito fish. They call them, their real name is mosquito fish, but they're just a common ditch minnow. Any kind of perch, minnows, anything like that, they love mosquito larvae. But they can't live in that low DO, high nutrient discharge of a failed home sewer system. that video right there, the Pontchartrain Conservancy, I made that video at my house. And the Pontchartrain Conservancy kind of sped that video up a little bit and put it on one of their websites. It has over 2 million views, that video right there.
Wow.
It's the highest recorded video that we've ever put out. Over 2 million views. But yeah, that little picture right there is, I call him the mild-mannered minnow. He's the one that keeps us safe. And he doesn't live in a home where you have a failed home sewer system. If your area's not working, he's dead. He dies. And the mosquitoes take over. So one of the best preventions or way to reduce mosquitoes, make sure your home sewer area is working right. And that little guy right there is alive. Can you play it again? I'll make it 2,000,001. So I just sucked up some mosquito larvae and then shot it in there. Now, from what I understand from Kevin Calumet, that mosquito larvae makes a certain little sound in the water, and that fish
Attracts the fish.
He wasn't trained to do that. I mean, I just didn't
Oh,
go
come
out
on,
and
you
ditch.
trained him.
You just didn't feed him for a week.
It's like, yeah, he does it naturally on his own.
That's just nature's way of handling that.
That's right.
That's it.
You should
So
give
the
him a
mild
name. You
mannered
should give him
minnow.
a name. Then you'll get 2 more million.
Well, I call it the mild-mannered minnow versus deadliest creature in the world. And it's had over 2 million views.
It's wonderful.
Go to the next one, let's see. Area treatment units are what we use now in Louisiana. And you see the basic system right here. This is your aerator. This is the little pipe that comes in right here. Usually this is going into a diffuser right here.
Yeah.
This is that pipe I studied that they'll break off. They stick that big hose over here because see this kind of got a going on an angle. Well, they'll break this off, and then just the air just flowing in the top of the tank here, not doing you any good. But this is your aerator, putting the air into the tank, round and around in here, then it goes into the clarifier over here. See this slope? It's sloped like that to
Keep it solid.
right, to push the solids back towards the main aeration chamber again. So, how much does it cost in electricity to run that area? We ask people all the time.
Because you got people unplugged and think they save it.
Right. So we've had people tell us anywhere from the correct amount up to over $100 a month. One guy, he swore. He said, no, that area uses $120 a month, every month.
Lord.
Right.
But the facts are, this thing uses between 50 and 70 watts, which is about $2.50 a month.
Yeah.
Now, without it running, all these solids are going to build up in the tank in here. They're going to do what's called bulk. They're going to float to the top and plug the discharge pipe up, which is going to cause a backup in your house. So then you call and have it pumped out, which costs you $600, $500. Over 10 years worth of electricity for this. That's over 10 years worth of electricity. So it doesn't pay to unplug this. I've seen people put timers on. You're going to cut your bill from $2.50 to $1.25? You know? And this is designed to run all the time. It's designed to run continuously, and this thing needs it to run continuously all the time. That's the way the system is designed. Some of the older ones, some of the older Norwicos did have timers on them because they had great big aerators on them that would push a bunch of air in there real fast. But you never want to go over about 45 minutes without your tank aerated. Because then you start getting the die-off, a huge die-off. So the legal aerator running is supposed to run 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. The stopping and starting is what wears them out. That's what will split your diaphragms. When it's sitting there and it gets cold, and then you pop it back on again, your diaphragms will split on you. So leave it running. It's designed to do that. It's costing you $2.50 a month. So not much.
Hey, they want to save money, unplug the AC.
Exactly. Or
Right.
stay away from Sonic and they can pay their $2.50.
Hanging clothes on a line.
Okay, you want to go to the next one? Yeah, so this is like a little 3/4 inch white PVC pipe right here that your airline runs through. And we found a lot of times that this pipe is cracked. Or tree roots have grown and smashed it. I've seen them get completely smashed closed. But the biggest issue that we find with the airline that comes into the tank is that when they set this tank in the ground, they didn't do the foundation properly down here.
So the tank 7 move.
And the tank goes like this. Well, it shears the airline off under the ground. Or else it twists it and pinches it off. So it's not working anymore.
Can't that happen in a flood too?
Yes, yeah.
Which the water table, especially if you're in a low water table or whatever.
Well, you want to try to keep it full, you know. You want to make sure, don't have your system pumped out and not have it full of water when you know there's flood, because it'll float out of the ground. So, yeah, just make sure it stays full of water. Now, and another thing I noticed too, that during flood events, the aerator, the ones that have the round tanks, the round caps right here, when they go underwater, which is okay, the aerator's still running, and it pushes water up out of here, and you'll see a big area of sludge around the cap right there. I've got pictures of it on my phone where it just recently happened during the Francine. So if you're looking for your sewer system, always look for this 6-inch cap right here. You'll see 4-inch lines or 4-inch caps sometimes, but if you look for the big 6-inch cap right here, that's the one that's going to lead down into your tank. See how it looks right down into the tank right here? That's your inspection port right there. If you can get that cap off of there, you can look down in there and you can see the water area over here. If not, just put your ear to it and listen, and you'll hear it boiling.
Good evening, patrons. The library will close in 15 minutes. All public computers are down for the night. All fax, copy, and cash transactions have ended. Please begin to make your final selections for checkout. Thank you.
So,
Got about 5 minutes. Get us.
some of these fully functioning systems are real easy to spot. You know, you've got, just gunk pouring out of them. You know, the water stinks, it's septic. I've learned also that when I'm doing my home sewer inspections, that if you look at the discharge coming out, if you see a white to pink looking fungus growing at the discharge pipe, chances are that aerator is failing because that's an anaerobic type fungus. So I can just about go down the streets and say that one's failed, that one's failed, that one's passed. You know, looking for that indicator fungus at the end of the pipe, but it ain't always active. Because maybe they just fixed it yesterday. And so just when you think you've got a handle on everything, you find out, no, I was wrong. So, next. This is just another example of poorly functioning systems. This is like a massive breeding ground right here for mosquitoes. This is a system here that's been rooted in because roots love that high nutrient water that's inside of your tank. If you got a tree nearby and there's a crack where it can get a root inside of that tank, it's going to take over. And that's what's happened right here. It's completely taken over that tank. There's some stuff called Rootex. Rootex. I think Lowe's and Home Depot and them sell it. If you use it, just go by what the label says. Next. Yeah, so you want to be careful that heavy vehicles, always know where your discharge lines are, how they run across your yard, and how they go into the tank, so that you don't have people driving over them or heavy vehicles like tree removers. Then they crush some big sewer lines and fell in the septic tanks and caved in sewer treatment plants. And just the other day, I had a tree guy that was about to go into a yard, and I'm like, hey, do you know what a sewer system is? He said, no, do you? And I said, yeah. It comes right off the corner of these people's house. Right there. He said, man, he said, I'm so glad you told me that. Because he had another way he could go in, but he would have crushed that sewer line had he gone in that way. Trees or shrubs growing near your system is not a good idea. Like I said earlier, if that root can find a way in there, it's going to get in there. If it's been longer than 5 years since you had your system pumped out or inspected, get her done. Call somebody, let them come out and check it.
Like, who do you call to come inspect that? Like the sewer people that put your sewer system in?
Yeah.
Or you can come?
Well, you got,
I'm just
I would do it, yeah.
I really want to know this. This is very interesting.
but you
to
got
me.
sewer companies that basically just pump out.
Like Riverside.
But
is this one called Riverside?
Riverside, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, you can call
That's who
Riverside.
pumped mine. That's who always pumps mine out. I was just curious to know.
Yeah, they do a good job, I've got him to do some presentations at some of my 8-hour classes.
Yeah, they're very nice people. I think they were.
Yeah, they don't need to rip anybody off.
No, they don't. They don't.
They have the RC approval.
What's their name?
Riverside.
Riverside.
Riverside. Yes, they don't really need. I say they don't need the
So
money.
don't you think it's a bit of a design flaw to
But
have that
Ron
pipe in the middle? And they have to
You know,
go
it said they have to
go
go in
sideways to
Sewer's
pump it out?
Yes.
I don't like it because it does just what you were saying. You have to
I mean, if you
slope
had
off. But the thing is it allows you to get both sides.
Entrepreneurial spirit. Yeah.
or put
Yes.
two. Here, what about this? Put two.
Yes, you can.
One for that size, so you don't break the thing, and then in the middle, one for,
Yeah.
I mean,
I had one at my house that it was so close
Because like 600
that I had to chip off part of the concrete
45.
to be able to get a hose down in there.
And there was interest costs. You pay
it
us
seems
for
like
it,
it could
but
be a
let me
better
tell you.
way of doing it. I'm just saying.
New design, and then it could be
I
called a
know,
Virus.
I
And then,
know.
people say, oh, that's a Virus right there.
There you go.
There you go. That's a bad idea.
Yeah.
They're about to close us up in here.
So what can I do? We always recommend that you plug in your aerator into an approved ground fault circuit. And you need to check it regularly, at least once a week. Just go out there and make sure your little aerator's running. Hit the button. So let the aerator run. No, really, let it run. Don't unplug it. Don't try to stop it, because that's what's gonna wear your diaphragms out in your pumps. Just let them run. $2.50. Ants are the biggest killers of aerators. They love that warm vibration, man. And when it gets cold in the wintertime, they going straight to that heat source, and they're gonna build a nest. I've gone up to aerators, and you couldn't see nothing but the cord going into an ant nest.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
And that was inside the house?
No, that's outside.
The aerators outside.
Okay, because I have mine inside the house. Can you put them outside?
It's
No,
fine inside. If you.
I don't like it inside. I'd like to put it outside.
Well, it's like when you call for it.
No, in my kitchen.
It doesn't bother you, the noise?
Yes.
That's what she does.
Well, people are bad about stealing, so that's one thing.
Ain't nobody gonna steal it.
Okay, we're good.
They can't even get to my house.
Put it outside.
I can just put it outside. I can redo it and put it outside.
Yep, just cut the line, and it's got a little rubber boot on it, and just slip the little rubber boot on it outside, but make sure it is lifted up high off the ground so that the water doesn't get to it. I use cinder block. I'm setting up 8 inches high off the ground with cinder block.
Yes.
It's never went underwater, not even during 2006.
Yes,
Well, yeah. I'm gonna do that.
I know all about it.
Storm-proof your house. If you have like a whole house generator, you want to make sure that your home sewer aerator is included in that breaker package. And it's only, you only need to allow about 70 watts. You know, like if you have a 10,000 watt generator,
Yes.
you know that your little home sewer aerator is only going to use about 70 watts. Not very much. Portable generators with manual transfer switch lockouts.
Can we see that disinfection one? I don't think you talked about it, the disinfection.
Oh, go back to the disinfection.
Yeah.
All right, we
Separated.
good.
All right, I'm gone. I'm sick. Bye, y'all. See y'all in a couple months.
Bye.
So this is the coordinator system. Not all the.
That's on commercial, you don't see that in the residential.
Most of them don't. A lot of them do. So if you wanted to install a home sewer
Talk about the wind.
disinfection unit, that's what you can put in.
Okay, so you have to redo it if you don't have.
They're like,
Good evening, Dave.
Yeah, you have to put one in.
If you have any items to check out, please make your way to the circulation.
Okay, you can run all
At
that.
this time, otherwise, please make your way to the exit that we will be locking the doors. We will reopen tomorrow at 9 a.m. Thank you and have a good night.
Okay.
We'll get a copy of the presentation.